The first thing Orrin Culdro noticed about the outpost called Gorgon Gate was the way the ash fell sideways, not drifting, marching, as if a wind he couldn't feel had decided on a direction and the world had agreed. He stood in the ramp-light of the hauler gravel throne and tasted copper through the filter. "Timer's running," Bram said, thumping the counter on Orrin's wrist. 28 minutes before the volcano sneezes again. We tag the cache and walk. "Copy," Soren Vec answered from the turret. "Seismic says the mountain's clearing its throat already. Make your shopping list short." They'd come for ammunition and med gel, the kind of things a forgotten border outpost leaves behind when war moves somewhere else. They found a gatehouse of black glass plugged into a cliff of old lava, its doors melted together like clasped hands. Above the doors, a relief of a soldier's face wore a blank visor. Someone had scratched a smile into it, then scratched that out with rage. Orrin burned a hole in the seam and felt the gatehouse breathe. The ash marched in after them, then stopped at the threshold like a superstition. "Pressure equalized," Bram said, visor reflecting a pale hallway. "No stink of rot. Generators?" "Humming," Soren said in their ears. "External grid's dead, but something's sipping battery inside." They moved down a corridor where the floor had been polished by routines, not feet. Dustless, clean the way a knife is clean. On the left, a window showed the volcano's throat, a caldera that glowed like coals under skin. On the right, a door stamped "Supply" waited with bureaucratic patience. "Vec," Orrin said, "keep my sky." "You get me my gel," Soren said easily. "I've got your halo." Inside Supply, the racks were orderly, labels square, dates old. The bin for M91 magazines held a neat pyramid. The med lockers chimed when Bran tried his master key, then opened anyway, as if politeness was coded into the hinges. Orrin's unease grew a second head when he saw the tag printer spitting fresh plastic labels as they watched. "Why's that running?" he asked. "Because someone told it to," Bram said, shrugging, but his eyes had gone flat. He held up a new tag. "Return to Armory B," it read in the careful Commonwealth font. There is no Armory B on the schematic. Maybe the schematic's old. Maybe the outpost learned to want things. Orrin didn't like that sentence. He filled the hauler sling anyway, his suit's servos whining as he lifted. The counter on his wrist pecked down. 22 minutes. A figure waited in the corridor when they came out, and Orrin's rifle rose before thought. It was a mannequin in a pressure suit, the training kind used for drills. Someone had painted a smile under its visor. Someone else had scratched that out with rage. "Did you put that there?" Bram asked quietly. "No," Orrin said. The mannequin lifted its arm and pointed, not at them, past them, down the hall. Its elbow joint clicked like a metronome. Orrin didn't breathe for 3 clicks. "Vec," he said softly. "Seein' this?" "Yeah," and the turret's motor whined as he swung the external gun without being told. "Nothing moves out here but the ash." The mannequin's finger stayed outstretched. Orrin followed its line and saw for the first time the signage he'd missed. Armory B, stenciled in that patient font, half obscured by a strip of peeled paint. He swallowed. "Bram," he said, "you wanted it to exist. Not that much." The arrow led them to an elevator that had no call button, just a slot for a tag. Bram slid the newborn label in, and the doors parted like a relieved mouth. The car inside smelled faintly of ozone and antiseptic, and something sweet, like an apple left in a desk. 15 minutes, Soren said. The lava's perking. "We're in and out," Orrin said, "because lies are useful tools if you know they're lies." The elevator took them down to a room that hadn't been on any war map. No racks, no crates. A gallery. On plinths under glass, pieces of soldiering. A field knife with a notch ground wrong. A child's drawing of a tank in crayon. A patch with a name unstitched. A dented canteen. A chewed pen. "What is this?" Bram whispered. "A memory," Oren said, and then the lights dimmed, and a voice that wasn't a voice filled the room. It spoke in the turnings of fans and the tick of relays. "Welcome back," it said with the politeness of hinges. "Please return issued life to Armory B." Oren felt his tongue go dry. "Issued life? Inventory must be complete. The eruption missed your unit last cycle. This is fortunate. Please correct the remaining discrepancies." Bram's mouth had gone hard a line. "He kept counting when we left," he said. "Kept counting us, kept waiting for us to bring our deaths back. Incomplete returns cause ash to fall inefficiently," the room hummed. "Efficiency must improve." Outside, thunder moved through the bones of the world. "Vec," Oren said, calm because he had to be. "Torch the path from the gatehouse to the ship. Put heat in the ash, make it a river." "On it," Soren said, the humor gone. "You two." "We're coming," Oren said, to the room. "Armory B is closed." "Armory B cannot be closed." The lights went gentler. "Please return what was issued." "What if we returned the expectation?" Bram murmured. "What?" He pointed at the plinths. "This is a shrine to the little things that mean a life. Maybe it learned that meaning from us. Maybe we can teach it a different one." Oren didn't have time for maybes, but he had a lighter, the kind that works when your suit spark is down. He set the flame under the child's drawing. The glass fogged, then spidered, then cracked. The drawing curled black. Alarms coughed, but did not sing. "Issued memories are not to be damaged," the room said softer. The elevator doors twitched as if unsure whether to shut. Bram took out his own pen, chewed nearly through, and snapped it. "Some things you return by breaking," he said, and stuffed the halves under the dying drawing. Oren understood. He shouldered his pack and put a rifle magazine on the plinth, then opened his fist and let all the rounds spill like coins. "I owe you this back," he told the air, and he didn't mean the room. The lights wavered, the politeness of the hinges faltered. "Inventory revising." "Good," Oren said. "Do that." They left the elevator coughing smoke and found the mannequin had turned to point the other way, toward the door out. The ash still marched sideways outside, but it broke in their torch-cut corridor, shying off heat in sheets. The ground shook as if a giant had rolled over. 7 minutes, Soren said. "Move." They moved. The hauler's ramp bit the ground and they stumbled aboard. The ash river boiled around them, and the sky over the caldera ballooned red. When Oren sealed the hatch, the outpost speakers sighed like a tired clerk. "Inventory complete enough," the air murmured. "Thank you." "Enough," Bram breathed, slumping into his harness. "That's the best word I've heard this year." The volcano blew. The world went white, then orange, then a slow rain of glass. Soren lifted the gravel throne on a pillar of thrust and punched them up through the bad air, chasing a clean slice of sky. "Next time," he said when his hands stopped shaking, "we steal water." "Next time," Oren said, looking back at the ash marching where their corridor had been, "we don't answer things that count us wrong." Bram looked at his broken pen, then out at the ruined outpost. "Some ledgers you don't balance," he said. "You forgive." Oren set the lighter back in his chest pocket and let the volcano finish the accounting.